Hey everyone! So today we're going to break down what really separates the everyday Etsy seller from those top-tier shops. You know, the ones with tens of thousands of orders. If you've ever wondered what the pros are actually doing to crush it in 2026, well, you are in exactly the right place. Let's get into it.
And this quote from a six-figure seller, man, it just hits the nail on the head. Etsy is always changing, always evolving. The strategies that were gold back in 2019, or even just last year, they're basically obsolete now. And a lot of sellers are just spinning their wheels, totally stuck on outdated advice.
And that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? With a never-ending to-do list, SEO, social media, making new stuff, where is your time and your energy going to give you the biggest possible return? Well, we are about to break that down, and we're going to start with what you probably need to stop doing right now.
All right, first things first, let's clear the decks. We're going to look at 3 of the most common traps that sellers fall into. These are things that waste so much precious time that could be spent on tasks that, actually grow the business.
First up, the algorithm obsession. Oh man, it is so easy to get fixated on those daily sales numbers, going up and down, trying to crack some kind of secret code. But here's the truth, it's an unsolvable puzzle. Sales are supposed to ebb and flow. That's normal. So instead of staring at day-to-day data, you got to zoom out. Look at your shop's performance month over month. That's the trend that tells you the real story.
Okay, next is the keyword black hole. So many sellers just assume that if sales are slow, it has to be their keywords. But here's a huge reality check. Keywords are only about 10% of the puzzle. Yes, they're important. You can't ignore them. But spending days and days tweaking them is a huge distraction from the other 90% of the work that actually moves the needle.
And the third big time waster? Trying to drive traffic from outside of Etsy, like from Pinterest or Instagram. Now, this one's kind of counterintuitive, but the traffic that is already on Etsy, that is the highest converting, hottest traffic on the entire internet for your products. Seriously. So unless you have completely maxed out your Etsy ads budget, your energy is way, way better spent inside the platform, not trying to pull people in from the outside.
So if keywords are just 10% of the work, where in the world does the other 90% of your effort go? Well, it goes into building a legitimate research and development process. This right here is the engine that powers a top-performing Etsy shop.
Now, what do we even mean by R&D in this case? It's not some complicated corporate thing. It's actually a systematic, repeatable process. It's all about using real data to find what customers are already buying like crazy and then engineering your own listing to be better than the competition. It's about making things that are pretty much proven to sell before you even create them.
And the process itself is surprisingly simple. It really boils down to 4 steps. First, you search for a product idea. Then, you filter those results to find listings that have been successful recently. That's key. Third, you sort them to pinpoint the absolute top dogs. And then, the most important step of all, you implement. You analyze what makes them so successful, and you build your own listing that's literally designed to outperform them. And when you're analyzing those top listings, you're not just, ripping off a design. No way. You are reverse engineering their entire strategy across 6 core areas: their pricing, the variations they offer in the drop-down menu, their main photo, the actual design, of course, their shipping setup, and any personalization options they have. You dissect each of these, and you can build a superior product offering right from the get-go. Okay, so you've used R&D, you have a killer product. What's next? The next advanced strategy is to shift your entire focus from just making sales to deeply understanding your actual profit. This is a total game changer, but it's a step that so many sellers just skip over.
I mean, this is such a critical insight. It is so easy to get excited about a product that's bringing in a lot of revenue. But if the costs and the fees for that product are eating up your entire margin, it might actually be one of your worst products. Knowing your numbers down to the penny is the absolute key to scaling your business without going broke.
And for a lot of people, a breakdown like this is a real wake-up call. When you realize that your actual take-home profit is just a tiny little slice of the pie, it changes everything. Your profit margin determines your marketing budget, your ability to run ads, and ultimately, your ability to grow. You simply cannot run a successful ad campaign if you don't know exactly how much money you make on every single sale. Period.
So, we've cut out the time wasters, we've built a solid R&D process, and we've totally mastered our profit margins. Awesome. Now, let's talk about growth. What are the actual rules of the game? Well, it turns out it's a lot simpler than you probably think.
According to the sellers who are really at the top of their game, after all the analysis and strategy,
up to 95% of your shop's traffic and growth, it all boils down to just two things. That's it. Two. Forget everything else for a second and just focus on these two.
So here it is, the bottom line. If you want to scale your shop, you have to stop getting distracted. You have to get hyper-focused on the two levers that actually move your business forward. Everything else is just noise.
The first rule is all about what we call horizontal growth. You just launch more listings. It's that simple. If you've sold all the t-shirts you can, you add sweatshirts. Then you add mugs, then tote bags. Every single new listing is like a new door for a totally different kind of buyer to walk through and find your shop. You're constantly expanding your footprint on the platform.
And the second rule? This is where you pour gasoline on the fire. You scale with Etsy's own advertising platform. You take those profitable, well-researched listings and you put them right in front of that high-intent, ready-to-buy traffic that only Etsy can give you. The top sellers? Their goal is to get their ad budget to the absolute maximum that Etsy will allow. So that's really the playbook for 2026. It's about ruthless prioritization, it's about focusing on data-driven research, a deep understanding of your finances, and then mastering the only two levers that truly matter for growth. So the only question left is, where are you putting your focus? On the noise or on the two things that actually matter?